5 years of Formula Zero. Narrated by Leo Year. I just can't believe it. As of the 31st of July, we've surpassed our 5th anniversary. And yes, I know that this means that this video is coming out a little late, but you know what I say, better late than never. To think that a silly idea on an obscure motorsport management game would end up being something that so many people, myself included, have sunk so much time and passion and effort into. I can hardly believe it. Back when this had all started, between just two old friends, myself and Racer, if you had told us at the time that we'd still be here now, we would have both laughed at you. Well, I would have laughed at you. I'm sure Racer would have said, yep, sounds just about normal. But don't get me wrong here. None of us take it for granted. Not myself, not the moderators, not the hosts, not even the players. None of us take it for granted. We're all coming together and pushing to make sure that this lasts for another 5 years. In the space of half a decade, not only have we, the Avocados, changed so much, but the game too. You can see, even compared to the first few videos on this very channel, that things have evolved so much. And I'm proud that through it all, through the tough times and the great, the drama and the friendships, the incredible victories and heart-wrenching losses, we are still standing. But what would IGP Manager or Formula Zero be without its community of amazing people? People from all walks of life coming together, taking some time out of their day to have some fun. It's to these people that the praise and admiration should be for. And so in light of this, I wanted to ask them how much Formula Zero meant to them. Because I could go on for years about this community. But with something like this, it's important to let them be heard as well. So I guess now the question is how? Well, here's the format. I asked 16 past and present Formula Zero managers the same 4 questions. Why did you join Formula Zero? What made you stay in Formula Zero? What was your favourite season in Formula Zero? And what was your favourite moment in Formula Zero? And beyond that, I didn't really prompt for anything else. And I think that's what resulted in such a range of answers and interpretations. Well, I hope you find their answers as interesting as I did. Let's get on with it. And first up, we have Dave Watts. Dave, a 2018 joiner, holds a number of records that show off his loyalty to the Formula Zero family. Most consecutive elite races and most consecutive FZW races, both over 1,000. In fact, I'm pretty sure he's done more FZ races than anyone else bar the other Dave, who we'll get to in a second. With all of these races, you'd probably be surprised to hear his elite trophy cabinet was as empty as Tottenham's for a long while. But fortunately, he did add 2 elite titles to his total last year to bring his FZ championship total to 5. Let's hear what the man himself has to say about his long past with FZ. I found the game for a random look on the Play Store. I played 3 races in a league and needed something more communal. Went on the forum, and there, amongst the various league adverts, was tired of inactive. I asked for a place, and Racer was quick to answer. Then Discord happened, and I was hooked. It was a community. At first, I just used to follow along in Discord and pick up a few tips. Then I started to get a little bit more involved, but still reasonably quiet. Then I was asked to apply to become a mod for FZ, and that shocked me. There were far more vocal managers than me on the server, but you all thought highly enough of me. That's when I knew I'd be here for the long term. And you've got to say it was the right decision. FZW Season 38. I came second in the Constructors, which is the closest I've got to the one title I coveted. I also missed out on the Drivers' Championship by 7 points. Sounds gutting, but when you're beat by Connor S, it's nothing to be ashamed of. Put into perspective, I finished ahead of such luminaries as Leo Yeo, who finished 4th, and Super Bologna, who finished 3rd. That's something I would never have thought I would do. I'll give you 2. On the track, FZ's first Interliga win, baby. If there was a betting pool, I would have been the rank outsider to get the first win. Far more consistent managers were in the team. I always bet on myself, so I would have been a very rich man. Off the track, the night Jamie got pissed, told one bad taste joke, and called Thorf the real Dave. I was always quiet, but that night, I just let it rip. It's given me a bit of reputation now. I'm not sure if it's fully justified. Cameron Pollock. Joining in 2020, Cameron is not only an FZ legend and one of the best racers to grace our grids, but also an incredible host responsible for the creation of the one and only Project Leanders. He was also responsible for leading our fierce rivals F1 World IGP to multiple Interliga titles. In Formula 0, he was able to find success in our first 75% league, FZUR, winning 2 elite titles there. His 70 plus wins and single Mott's award are nothing to scoff at either. So let's see what he has to say about his time with the Avocados. That's a pretty quick answer. Anakin invited me. At the time, I was a pretty inexperienced manager in the middle of lockdown, so was enthusiastic to try out more leagues. Why I stayed? A lot of managers in FZ are really easy to get on with, and strong managers. I've enjoyed being in the server even after leaving the leagues. Winning my first elite race and all the fights against FZ in Interliga is why FZ holds a special place for me. The FZUR one, where I won 18 races all close. It was fun going for the record, and I definitely won't get a chance to beat Michael convincingly ever again. Probably a grid full of Tommies. One Stritch streams were also fun. Jeff Penfold. One prong of the deadliest trio to grace the FZ Discord servers. Jeff has a history of showing no mercy to any opponents who stand in his way, and he's never been one to mince his words either. Despite being controversial at times, this manager has developed significantly since first joining. He was key in connecting FZUR to the FZ family, winning the first official elite title of the league. Jeff became a regular to the podium wherever he raced, making him one of the most recognizable characters within FZ. I joined FZ in my second season in the game. The posts on the forum for the league brought me to FZ as I wanted somewhere to learn that had a very active amount of players. There were some really good managers that I learned from and had a great laugh with. There's 2 I met in FZ that I consider real friends now. I think my 2 elite title seasons were right up there as my favourites, and my 2 pro titles were fun too. The FZUR seasons battling Michael were real fun too. My favourite FZ moments away from the racing were the convos and chat back when it was 70 plus people talking a day. Some real good managers and some really funny guys. The banter was great in those times. Maikar Parikh. Maikar, quick since he was first on the scene just over 2 years ago. Despite some inactive spells, he has become one of the best managers born from within the FZ leagues, winning 10 championships and just shy of 200 wins in the FZWC and FZW leagues, whilst also being a key racer in the ever-improving FZ Interliga team. He is a manager who will go down in FZ history. I came to know about IGP from one of my friends. Initially, I was in another one-card league, which didn't look interesting and not very active players. Then, I saw the FZ post on the forum and decided to check it out. The activeness even in rookie kept me in FZ. What made me stay after the initial seasons was how everyone was so competitive yet so helpful at the same time. Then, once in elite, from Tommy, Luke, Jamie, Ovi, Reese, my questions never were unanswered. which is something when you are direct competitors. But I did take a small sabbatical in between to get away from Tommy winning everything. My favorite one would have to be season 77 of FZW, as it was my first elite title and I only won it by a point. It was a superb battle between me and Gerard all the way to the last corner of the season. It has to be the learning and discussing and forming great bonds. Me and Jamie used to compare notes about research and results. Ovi helped a lot as well, even during the races by giving me DRS. Even though continents apart, I think the bond was strong. Nilvio Sali. This hearty Italian has been with us since 2018 and continues to race to this day. His activity is quite ironic considering his involvement with creating and hosting FZ's one and only offline league. Under his leadership, Formula Zero Offline went from strength to strength and is now arguably the most competitive FZ league of them all. His 60 wins and single FZ championship really don't tell the full picture, as he's had a number of incredible performances and seasons against some of the greatest FZ racers of all time. He will always be one of the most influential managers FZ has had. I remember it perfectly. I was in pro within an Italian league. They run at 23 PM. My girlfriend was upset with me. You can't spend 30 minutes every evening to a stupid car game. I want cuddles and Netflix, she said. So I searched the league at 6 PM, when I was at the office or on my way home. And I found this league that seems important. Official Formula Zero. Wow, should be something special, I thought. And here I am, Your Honor. I joined on the last track of a pro season. Obviously, I wasn't able to avoid relegation. I'm still in FZ because it's a beautiful oasis within the desert of the online gaming. The league has always been competitive. Indeed, I never won a championship. Bullies are kicked or forced to be kicked, and probably because I feel that all of you are like a second family to me. And also because my creature, FZO, is still one of the most competitive leagues of FZ. I will never forget my first season in OFZ Elite. I was level 13 and being able to avoid relegation with a lot of monstre sacre of FZ. Esco, Connor, Pesp, Dave. I also joined Discord that season, I guess. I remember those days as the best of FZ, with all of you helping me to avoid relegation. In those days, I understand that FZ was not only a league, but something like a second family to me. I guess when we got FZO full in Elite, Pro and Rookie, it was a special moment for a crazy idea that won't be competitive. Ovi Sapiens. Ovi, a manager who joined FZ as a well-respected member of the wider game community. Their racing standards and etiquette never dropping below being excellent. Live racing in FZWC for 22 seasons, they won 75 races despite not collecting any championships. Winning 3 FZO and 3 FZW championships has made sure Ovi gets a place in the history books. As a quick racer, but overall, a great amigo to anyone in FZ. I joined FZ World Cup because of Luke Christophers. He always seemed like a nice guy to me, and that's why I decided to join that league. It's been one of the best leagues I've ever been in. In the league I was in, FZWC, there were some great players. The races were quite interesting and fun, and that made it special. Every night it was a challenge to fight for the win. Then I decided to join FZO, and it was another good decision. Juanito's streams were very funny. I had a lot of fun. In FZWC, I'd say my favorite season was 90. I managed to win 7 races in a row, playing every night against Leo Year and Versetti, 2 great FZ legends. That made me feel really good, because to achieve something like that is very difficult. In FZO, my favorite season was 45. I got my 3rd championship and my record number of podiums in a season. I went away doing very well. I think my favourite moment was when all the players in FZWC League decided to have the same dog collar as Vassetti and me. It was the funniest race I've ever done. It was so much fun. And funnily enough, I have another weird fact for you. Me and Tommy happen to have the exact same, and I mean to the same hex code color on a couple of our accounts, without even discussing it as well. Very strange, very spooky. Though Scrooge, though one half of the infamous Spanish duo that have found success in almost all of the FZ leagues. He has been a mainstay in the Formula Zero leagues ever since he joined, winning numerous championships in FZO and his most successful hunting ground, FZW. In West, he became unarguably a legend, winning 6 championships and a record equaling 7 Mott's Awards. He may be a banana faithful, but he will always be one of the avocados. With my main account, Though Scrooge, I decided to leave the league that I was in for various reasons. Ovi told me that he was going to join FZ. I told him that it was not a good idea to join the enemies, but in the end, he convinced me to join FZ. My main idea was to join OFZ, but there was no space at that time. The only option was FZW, and only because there was an inactive player. I seem to remember that person's team was Real Madrid, and as a Barcelona fan, it was a pleasure to take his place. For me, it was a challenge to join FZW and try to win a championship, a Super Cup, and a Mott's. I was lucky enough to achieve it all in my first season. Today, I can say that it is a pleasure to be a part of the FZ community, but bananas are still better than avocados. I can barely bring myself to say that sentence. Absolutely disgusting. The reason I'm still a part of the FZ community is because of their Discord server. There is a good atmosphere, good people, and because we often share sporting events. We comment on F1 races, football matches, even Eurovision. I have a great time here, and even though I'm not in FZW anymore, I still like the league. For me, it's the best league of all the FZ leagues. It might seem a difficult question to answer. There were 22 seasons in FZW, and there are 25 seasons in FZ off. But it is clear to me which has been my favourite season. We have to go back to the 61st season of FZW, March 2021, my 4th season as a player in the FZ community. I managed to win 6 races: Azerbaijan, Canada, Japan, Monaco, Brazil, and Hungary, and the championship. In addition, I also did Manager of the Season. Why do I consider it my best season? That season saw the return of Connor S, the player with the most championships and an FZW legend, and even still now he has the most championships in that league. It was an intense season with a rivalry between the two. I was able to open up a gap of 107 points over him. Meanwhile, he was trying to take credit for each of my victories, and it was a bit disrespectful. Although, I must say, he was going to apologise in private afterwards. He started to win, and that lead got smaller and smaller all the way to the last race, Hungary. 19th of March 2021. 21 points between us. I was happy. I was winning the championship, and it was Hungary. That race ended with me being 1st and 4th, while Connor S was 2nd and 5th. I won the championship with a gap of 30 points. I liked that season because it was a kind of Schumacher versus Alonso type battle. A legend against a Spaniard. The person with the most championships against a person hungry for titles. I don't know if I'd be able to choose just one. I think there are a lot of good moments in FZ. Whenever I'm in the community, whether it's in a league or on a Discord server, I always have a great time. On the Discord server, I laugh a lot at our jokes and comments. As I said, I really enjoy it when we share F1 weekends or other events. I don't think there are any other communities on IGP as good and with this good atmosphere as there is in FZ. For me, it is a pleasure to be an FZ champion and to be a part of the community. And I'm sure there will be many many great moments in the future. As Sinatra used to say, the best is yet to come. Joshua Johnson, another player who joined us in 2018 and actually competed against both Leo and R360 in his first few seasons. His successes include winning the oh-so-close FZW S19, which became the third of his 3 FZ titles and made him one of the first FZW legends. These days, he's a moderator for FZ and a regular member of FZ's Formula 1 watch-alongs. Without much further ado, here's Joshua's story. I was looking for a league with more active participants. FZ's forum post caught my attention, and the rest is history. Its community of managers were friendly for the most part, willing to help each other improve and supportive of one another's success. I'd have to say FZW Season 19. Richard proved to be a worthy replacement for my recently departed rival and friend, Tariq. We raced the entire season with one eye on the other. In the end, my consistency and a little luck helped me prevail over my fellow Americans' wins by 1 point. We continued to be close rivals for the following seasons, not for the championship again unfortunately, but I feel S19 was the peak season for our rivalry between friends. It may appear as an odd choice, but my favourite moment is OFZ China S38. At the time, I was wondering if I had it in me to be competitive in SLW. Yes, it feels weird saying that now. During the prior season, I had asked Mark to fill in for me during FZW's Japan round. While it did yield points, it was pretty much standard for my results that season. Fast forward to OFZ's China round the following season, and Mark asked me if I could fill in for him. This resulted in what would end up being the first time I dulled Peter in any FZ league. In the end, my efforts resulted in Mark getting a 1-4 over the Dane. Beating one of FZ's best in a race-long fight gave me the confidence that I still had it in me to bring home the results. Dave Jaffa. More living proof that the secret to longevity in FZ is to be called Dave. DJ has been a member since 2018, completing far over 2,000 FZ races, very likely to be the most of anyone so far. He is genuinely one of the only managers who can say that they've pretty much seen it all. DJ and his Flying Orange Mobiles have taken just under 100 FZ victories and 4 FZ championships, even up against some of FZ's most legendary figures. Through his merciless, let people race the way they want to race attitude, his on-track character is one that demands respect and focus, lest you desire being dropped. I joined to learn from some more experienced guys and have some lively banter during races. It's dying off, to be honest, the banter side of things anyway. I don't always have time for the races. Having a young child in the house, priorities change. I can't seem to fight for wins as well very regularly. I know, you have to be on 100% to have a shot. And when I pushed him for a more positive comment, stayed because too lazy to move. Fair play, Dave. Fair play. No idea. Numbers, seasons are all a blur. One where I came close to Peter would be up there. Long time ago. So when I tried digging for this season, I wasn't sure if Dave meant close pace-wise or championship-wise. I just assumed championship-wise. But he could be referring to OFZ S33. Where he finished only 120 points off of PASP. Which, yes, at the time was honestly an achievement in itself. So imagine also beating him. Yeah, it was a pretty crazy season. Some young guns showing up the 4-time Elite FZ champion at the time. Winning. Dyford Hitchings. Dyford joined us in 2019. And has been an active member ever since. A manager infamous for his, well, lack of success. Dyford is one of those managers that was often left unrewarded in competitive fields. However, his efforts over the years have gotten him a ridiculous number of poles, 40 wins, and 3 FZ championships, which is certainly nothing to scoff at. Outside of racing, he's made many contributions to FZ. either taking care of the Super Cups we used to run, doing his various alternative points competitions, or his uncanny ability to relate any situation to some obscure thing from 80s F1. There can only be one David Hitchings. I was in another league. I got sick of the time zone difference, as I was in Brazil when I joined, and inactivity of the lower managers. So left, and I think FZW came up as a league I could join. I think I was at level 12 and was in elite in the old league, and joined thinking, at least I'll get relegated and can race in pro to get more experience. And that never happened. Well, when I joined FZW, and I survived the first season as a level 12 and 13 team, I wanted to see how long I could survive for. And I did survive all the way to level 20. The other managers were active and friendly, especially with an active Discord channel as well. I have two. Season 43, where I scored my first point at the USGP after 5 seasons in FZW. Do remember the congrats from that. It would take 6 seasons before I scored another point, but I did it big time by getting second. Should have won, but you, he's referring to me here, were catching me up and overtook me on the final straight. Yeah, it was cruel, but I was trying to get every single point I could to get myself back into that championship, which I ultimately lost. So, yeah, sorry, Lyford. And then there's also season 57, which after getting a best result of 11th in the previous season to finish 11th in the championship, I managed to get a first, a second, and a pole in Austria. I got a lot of my podiums in Austria in FZW. It was my 3rd and 4th podium in FZW at the time. This being my 19th season, I just discovered that holding DP worked. Getting the FZW pole record. Richard Herman. Now, the manager with the most laid-back approach to racing, Richard Herman. He was arguably the greatest ever curse saver in FZ, which helped him become one of the most consistently race-winning managers within FZW. The proud Avocado Man has won 98 races in his time with us, proving his skills without a doubt and making it no surprise that he was often a great pair of hands to have around when needing subs and racing in Interliga. I mostly learned about FZ from the forum posts, and, like the title said at the time, I was tired of inactive league hosts. I feel like the activity in and out of the race, and the fact that there is a Discord server really got me to stay in not just FZ, but IGP in general. Probably FZW Season 19. I remember way too much of it for how long ago it was, so it had to be good. A lot of it is from 2 races, Belgium and Abu Dhabi. Belgium was the bug that ended up costing me the title, and I barely missed the top 10, even though I missed parts of the race due to my parents. Abu Dhabi was the final race, and I vividly remember having just not enough boost to get DRS on the final lap, and lost by a point. That's a hard one. I want to say the avocado versus banana walls. I feel like the most memorable part to me was the day when everyone was spamming the emojis. Might be partly due to looking at chat while it was happening. And yes, I remember that day. I had to dunce half of the server. Well, only the bananas. The avocados are obviously always innocent in any situation. Connor Cooper, a manager well known to the entire IGP community for being an IGP supermod and helping solve the occasional problem in the forums. His activity on the Discord server has been unwavering, rising to P2 on the levels leaderboard after just 15 months. This man needs to touch some grass. He's always been a keen member, keeping the community positive with his dad jokes and his occasional dodgy spreadsheets. He hasn't won the most races in his time here, but he can certainly be seen as a large part of these leagues and the game's future. Jesus, we did not have to do him so dirty like this. But to be fair to him, he did win a pro title in our offline league. It's not an online title, but we'll give him that. My first ever race in a Formula Zero league was in April 2021, only a matter of days after the release of the 3D viewer. After the release, I wanted to continue racing live and saw that the Formula Zero family of leagues had a lot of popularity among players. I did 50 races in OFZ until some new device restrictions came into force, meaning I could no longer race live. Being part of the Discord server, I became aware of FZO and joined the league in May of 2021. FZO became such a fun experience. It was actually the league that my now S-Mod account raced in until April of 2022. The close connections that Formula Zero has allowed me to make with numerous people that I had not spoken to before joining has definitely been a massive pull factor attracting me to stay. The Discord server especially has contributed hugely to the close bonds that have established between myself and some people that I had never spoken to before joining FZ. I've been in many different leagues, and I'm in a large number of Discord servers. Just ask Anakin, they know all about it. And Formula Zero is definitely the one where I feel the biggest sense of family between all of the members, which has made me stay as long as I have. If I had to narrow it down to one season, I would have to say Formula Zero Offline Season 32, where I managed to claim the outright FZO Pro Points record. Although Aaron managed to beat it immediately afterwards, a record is a record. I don't think I can pinpoint one exact moment, but the Formula Zero Discord server has definitely been a very good part of my time here. I've spoken to people I'd not spoken to before and built up good relationships with them, learning the ins and outs of their lives, from Dave and his plants to James and his donkey poo. I've enjoyed meeting a lot of new people, and Formula Zero is a reason for that. I don't know why. Very interesting highlights. Michael Craig, a manager who proved himself as integral to the FZ team very quickly, despite only joining us last year, although it really feels like he's been here longer. Over such a short time span, he has virtually acclaimed all accolades, multiple FZ championships and Manager of the Season awards, a couple hundred wins, hosting one of our leagues, being one of our mods, and through his incredible racing knowledge, helping us get so close to an Interliga title. I think it goes without saying that there weren't many people that would have been better to ask about their FZ history. Well, Leo, to be honest, I didn't have much of a say in the matter. FZ absorbed the league that I had been part of since joining the game, and I was part of the package. I believe Jeff may have been involved in bringing us to your attention, and you started negotiations with admin at the time. I was backup admin for the most part, and had won my first Elite Championship there in Season 72. Season 74 was the first Formula Zero season. I wouldn't say I was dragged kicking and screaming, but I certainly was resistant to change originally. However, once I had a bit of contact with yourself rather than sparsely provided information from our admin, I felt a bit better about it, and I never really considered jumping ship. There are a lot of factors, to be honest. The community is a major part of it for sure, and the responsibilities that I have now as a league admin also, but there's more to it than that. There are some fantastic managers about that I love going head to head with. We've had some incredible seasons in FZUR, which I hope to see again one day, and there's always the willingness here to try out a new project. SZS sadly fell apart, but Season 1 was a thing of beauty. I just wish we had produced enough momentum to keep it going. All in all, I can't think of many better places for me to hang about, talk motorsport in general, and support new and older players alike with enjoying IGP. I think it would have to be FZUR Season 81. It was a fantastic season, had a bit of everything. Big names, 5 different winners, controversy in the form of the Leo Year Super Pit exit, a close battle between me, you and Jamie for the title, with a crunch race where we were both doing our best to roll him over to bring ourselves back into it. If you look at the lineup, the only person I would highlight as missing for that to be a full house of FZUR legends would be Karen Pollock. 6 of the top 7 that season are FZUR champions now, and if Ibrahim hadn't taken a break, he would have one by now as well for sure. That's actually quite a tough one. On a personal note, I think it would be joining the Interliga team as my favourite moment. And then, flowing from that, our final Interliga race to date, where we had that epic battle over the podium places, has got to be my favourite moment for FZ. If only we had actually toppled F1W from their pedestal. I do hope Interliga eventually returns in the future. Other memorable moments would be the arrival of the bot channel and FZUR's own private drama of a moderator going rogue and flat out deleting Dave, Jeff and Jamie's NSFW channel due to the content being too offensive. I don't disagree that there's some horrendous stuff that gets plonked in those channels, but having a moderator derail like that was certainly unique in my time. Luke Christophers. Luke is generally one of the only managers that FZ could not do without. Being with us since 2018, very early on, he convinced the moderators that he was not only fit to join us, but also take charge of our attempt at a new league. It didn't quite work out, but once he was tasked with hosting FZWC, it all came together. Luke continues to host FZWC to this day, and along the way has won several championships, is 4th in the standings for most FZ wins, and has an Interliga win to boot. If there was a book about FZ, Luke makes it onto the cover. Let's see what he has to say about his seasons with FZ. Well, I joined the game not knowing anything. The league I joined was official Formula 0. After playing for a season or two, I asked the reigning elite champion for tips to improve. That guy was Leo Year. From there, I joined Discord, and along with the help of the host R360, I learned a lot more, and the rest is history. I have to say, finding future leagues which suit your timings and commitments is very difficult. Of course, when other great racing opportunities like Liga de Leanders and Project Leanders, The Last Dance, and the World Cup appear, you go and race. But I like 2 cars, and not such long-timed races. With the range of FZ leagues FZ has on offer, it's an obvious choice. Being a moderator and having the responsibility on the Discord server too keeps me inspired to log in and continue being a part of FZ. Well, I think you know the answer. Season 71, FZWC. Finishing the COVID lockdown in the summer of 2020, I knew I wouldn't make a full season of races again for a while. Throughout the season, there was a 3-manager fight. Anakin, fighting for his 2nd title, was arguably the favourite due to his consistency. Castu, a new guy on the block who won his debut in season 70, and me, hoping for my first title in this crazy league. From a 20 points disadvantage in P3, the last round in Germany saw my cars take a 1-2. Doing some quick maths, it was too close to call as the others crossed the finish line. The final result was Tommy P3 on 444 points, Castu P2 on 464 points, and myself winning on countback due to having the first win of this season, also scoring 464 points. What a roller coaster of a season, and an epic way to win a debut title. I'm not sure. It's a great community, and the people within make it so fun. If I narrow it down to one moment, the teamwork behind the 3-way decider for the last Interliga season. The way the whole team pulled together to create the best development and strategies, and ultimately it paid off with us moving from 3rd to 2nd overall. Anakin Skywalker. The man, the myth, the legend. Anakin, Tommy, Jack, Frank, Anakin again. Whatever you call this guy, he's a genuine racer with the commitment of a hamster in a wheel in his live racing days. Often performing 5 times within 24 hours. Jesus, Anakin, please go outside. He became the first manager to win a title in all 5 FZ leagues, whilst being the greatest manager to grace the presence of FZWC, collecting 510 winners' trophies before retiring from online racing. This success rate was quite the pain in the proverbial when he raced for the opposition in Interliga. Without a doubt, a legend of the game, which is hard to disagree with. Firstly, a massive congrats on 5 years of Formula 0. We should be saying thanks to you, Luke, and all the ones who have kept this community alive after Racer left. To me, the community is better than the game itself. How I found FZWC first? No idea. Just luck of the draw, I guess. Same with me starting in F1W. At the time, I think I wanted to try new things, which meant creating a new team, and the rest is history. Also, being dominated by William in F1W for sure inspired me to somehow try and reach his level. by starting fresh and seeing how well I could do elsewhere, then using what I learned to see if I'd improved enough to match him. Simple. The community full of you, great people. I doubt many of us would be left if it wasn't for the Discord server. Can I say all 10,000 of my seasons? The ones I'm somewhat remembering that were enjoyable were the infamous Season 71, the ones in SWC with Luke, Povi, Castu, Curtis, Cam, Joey, William, Leo and Ovi most of the time, the great challenge of OFZ as a lower level, rising the ranks with Jamie, then trying to match Hermit, Oliver, and then eventually Peter. My Rosberg, FZUR and FZW seasons, the final fun of FZS, and the unforgettable FZ Orgy, don't even question it, FZ Orgy Juan Twitch streams. I'm probably forgetting a few, but oh well. Well, that's exactly it, being a part of FZ. As with everything, it hasn't always been smooth sailing, but the amazing times we've all had and the friendships we've made over the years really make it something special. I can't forget about the great FZ radio, from its beginnings in the FZUR server till now. Never a dull day when you join, that's for sure. I'm thankful my past self decided to join this community, so thanks to him. And thanks to you, Leo, Luke, and all the others who have helped FZ grow into what it is today. IGP may be finished, but we carry on. Leo Year. Now to preface this was not written by me, it was actually written by Luke. So let's see what he has to say. Leonis Year. Where to start? He has done it all, winning everything there is to win within the live rating of FZ. One of the quickest guys and toughest opponents you could ever face in the game. He's the ideal role model for anyone wanting to improve their skills. From helping lead the FZ Interliga team to several victories, winning elite titles regularly, hosting OFZ and FCW, he is loved by everyone. Aww. That either means he is a lovely Frenchman, or he abuses his powers of being an FZ god, in control of everything. That one's for you to decide. Yep, and if you pick wrong, you're banned. I'm not joking. God. It's quite a while ago now, wasn't it? I didn't find it on the league page or forums like some of these other young tykes. I, together with R360, made it from scratch. Back then, it was really just a small hope, an attempt to try something new and different. After a few seasons, we were thinking, yeah, there's something good here, and it just rocketed off from there. I think after SLW was created, about half a year later, in December 2017, I realized I was in here for the long run. The first few seasons, I had my doubts, and I think that's normal. But once OFZ decided to kick off, and we booted up FZW, I was like, yeah, this is something new, something fascinating, let's go further. Then, oh my god, then we tried to make the World League thing happen, which was absolutely catastrophic. We literally almost got banned from the entire game because of it, so there you go. But yeah, for me, it's been continuous things like that. Not being afraid to try something wild, new and crazy, even if we might regret it later. That's what kept me here. Having such a great community and personalities year in, year out, of course I was never going to leave. I love it too much. My favorite season? What a cruel question to only be able to pick one. I mean, damn. I'll be a bit vain and pick a season where I won. FZW 65. Just last year. First season after a full year break pretty much. And even in my last season, I'd been slapped pretty hard by Peter Spence. And this season, man, the beginning of it sucked. I made so many mistakes in the races. And by the midpoint, I was over 100 points down on two managers, Connor Scott and Richard Herman. I sort of felt it was over and started preparing for next season and trying to learn as much as I could for it. But going into the second half, everything, and I mean everything, went right. I think in the final 5 days of the season, I went from over 90 points down to the championship winner. It's a season I will never forget. It was the luckiest, most incredible season I will ever have. But it taught me one thing: never underestimate Leo Year, especially in Paul Ricard. Favorite moment? I mean, winning the Interliga French GP has to be up there. Heart was pounding the entire time, and it was my first ever Interliga win too. The Leanders France win, the avocado versus banana war, the 5-year-old Frenchman memes, the Discord challenges, the ridiculousness that was bot spam at some point, the Twitch streams, the YouTube videos, our terrible sponsors, which were the sole reason we even made a server, creating FZ itself. I could go on. And I think I'll pick finally becoming FZ's overlord in 2019. I did feel it was time to take over that year. Now I was ready. And I haven't looked back ever since. Well, that brings an end to all of the interviews I had. And at the same time, the end of this video. But Formula Zero will continue. I'm sure there'll be some of you watching this that have literally no idea what this is about. And I'll just choose to leave it as a celebration for a small but large in spirit community on some silly, obscure motorsport management game. If you want to know more, well, you'll just have to join us. That's all for now, folks. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.